This week, we're brought to you by our friends at Outerloop and their new game, Dosa Divas. I love talking with the team last year at Giant Bomb at night during Summer Game Fest. You might remember Dan trying to teach that team how to cook, maybe smashing Doritos in there. Well, now the team has gotten over whatever ailed them with that to deliver the game. Their new game, Dosa Divas, is an RPG where you play as two cool sisters who pilot a mech that cooks tasty food that packs a punch during combat. It is out now on Steam and the big consoles. It's a game that feels like you made a stew with parts of Octopath Traveler, Cooking Mama, and Super Mario RPG. Check out the Steam page, give it a wish list, and buy it if it looks like your speed. The game is funded by Outer Sloth, the fine folks who run Among Us. And as part of that publishing deal, the team gets a healthy part of the sales of each copy sold directly to them right from the get-go before making their budget back. So your support does mean a lot to the dev team. Again, that's Dosa Divas, out now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a new console that's only $250 because it's actually an old console, and wrapping up the week with the Bomb 12. It's going to be a good one because we have Eka from Outerloop Games here. Eka, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for being on. It was great to catch up with you at GDC and to have you on this show now. Fantastic. We'll be going over the news, and I'll be definitely picking your brain as someone who's been making games for actually, you know what? You told me how long. It's been like 20 years, 25 years. How long you been a developer?
It'll be 30 this October.
I didn't want to blow you up like that much, but all right, yeah. As long as you say it, then it's okay. 30 years.
I started when I was 4. Yeah, that's what I'll go with.
Man, incredible. I love that. Yeah, that's the way to do it. You could get both, like, you're still young and you were a child prodigy, and then that's the story to tell. But yeah, Eka, you got Dosa Divas coming out this week. What's it like launching a game in 2026? You've done it several times before. We were just talking. You're saying every time, like, the marketing side changes. What else changes? What else is the same? What should people know?
I think it's always exciting, and I mean, for me personally, and I've talked to other devs too. It's like we spent years like focusing this kind of energy on this project, and a game takes, for us, it's like 2+ years on this one, and there's thousands of decisions every day, and then you you hope you're doing the right thing, you give playtest feedback, whatever, but when you launch it, it's like it's not yours anymore. It's like people can have opinions about it, which is great and not great, but it's also like for us, when you finish it, for me, when I finish a project, I'm like, I got to direct that energy somewhere else. Without it, then I get, I'm like sad because I'm like, I can't do anything about this thing that we just spent all this time doing. Which is it took me a while to kind of get used to this, almost like I wouldn't say a depression, but it was like a sadness. Once you're excited to ship something,
right?
Yeah. You're like, what do I do with all this energy and focus and like attention that I focus on this one project? And so a couple of your projects back, I started always kind of noodling with something else so I can just focus on that while the game comes out, and then kind of react to how people are receiving it, fix stuff, figure out the next patch, and market it somehow. In 26, it's like try a bunch of different things and see what sticks and see what people like about it and respond to it and do more of that, hopefully. And that's what we're still trying to figure out. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's you do like there seems like you have a lot more avenues for telling people about the games these days, and yet there are so many more games coming out every single year. That number goes up and up and up. I mean, at a certain point, it's like that's just the way things are. We have to go deal with this, so we just have to do what's best for this game, do right by the game, and give it its best chance to succeed, and have to ignore what's happening out there in terms of competing in this market.
Yeah, I mean, there's like trying to pick a release date. It's like that's always hard.
Right.
It used to be, it's like, oh, don't release in the wintertime, do it in the spring or summer. But there's games every day, especially on Steam, I think too, and on the platforms. And we're on everything. But like it's trying to mark, things. Also, like how early do you market? How late do you market? Like when you start talking about it, people are inundated with so many different things. Like it's like you have so much time before you can focus. For me personally, I'm like, I can focus on this thing then I'm onto something else. So it's just trying to figure all that out.
Yeah, I mean, the strategy from Outerloop, you guys seems to have been work on the next game, and we talked about that at SGF. I think I remember you having that conversation. It's like we put out a game, and then we're on to the next game. We like to make games. Anything changed there? Anything learned that gets applied next time around? Are you not ready to talk about the next game because you're putting out a game this week? I understand, but I asked the questions.
Oh yeah, no, we have 3 playable prototypes already.
Yeah, okay. That's what it seems like. It always seems you guys are always percolating on ideas over there.
Yeah, and then I think going back to your initial question about what's changed, what's same. I think having the same core team over multiple projects means we can figure new things out quicker, or figure out what we like, what we don't like, and what we want to try. We started on a prototype a couple weeks ago as we were like fixing and getting the ship, and it's like we're a bit on Unity and we're trying to learn Godot, which is this other game engine, and we're kind of using this project, and it's a small project. It's like a 4-player multiplayer game, which we haven't done in a long time. So we're messing with that as a way to learn the engine, and now it's like, hey, maybe we might continue on this because it's a shorter term project, but it's like it's also allowing us to learn a new engine and not be tied to one particular company like an Adobe or Unity or whoever, because like that's also out of our hands if they decide to go price changes that have happened, or royalties or other things that are just like completely mess up our business as a small indie studio. So it's like not being tied to one tool or engine is also a goal for us too going forward.
I will say that I've always wanted to ask this question. I think you might have answered, but I want to double check. It's Godot, not Godot, right? I always thought it was Godot, but people said Godot to me. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, well, I'm going with that guy, everybody.
Yeah, we've been saying Godot, so.
Okay, right. I mean, it should be. I think so. All right, well, we're gonna get on with the show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb. If you go to giantbomb.com/join, you can become a premium member. This supports independent games media, which is what we are. We're out there on our own. We really appreciate all the support to keep doing the stuff that we like to do, the stuff you like us to do. That includes giving you ad-free versions of our shows, but also a lot of cool premium stuff like Portal Pals, 9 Lives of Mr. Mistopheles, Grubb Snacks Premium. I recorded a new one yesterday. That'll be going up today. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us. Once again, that's giantbomb.com/join. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with SNK is releasing a modern NeoGeo AES console with unrivaled authenticity and 70-pound game cartridges. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. PlayOn and SNK are re-releasing the NeoGeo AES console later this year. Originally released in 1990 and remembered for its strong arcade ports, the new NeoGeo AES, which stands for Advanced Entertainment System, is planned for release this Christmas and promises, quote, unrivaled authenticity, including full compatibility with original cartridges. Standard and 35th Anniversary Edition hardware will release on November 12th for $250, 180 pounds, or 200 euros, with a roster of game cartridges also due to go on sale for 70 pounds or 80 euros. According to PlayOn, the NeoGeo AES Plus will come with discrete quality of life upgrades such as low latency HDMI output, 1080p output, and on-screen BIOS and dip switches located on the bottom of the console, allowing for instant switching of language selection, overclocking the hardware, or choosing different display modes. The console also offers low power consumption and permanently saves gamers high scores for each game. I imagine the reason it's low power consumption is the way that they're making this ECA is super interesting. It's not one of these recent FPGA consoles from the likes of Analog, which are great. I love them. That is a field programmable gate array chip that's basically a big chip, and you could tell it to behave like a smaller, older chip. And then there's the emulation boxes, which are just, here's a computer in a box, and we're going to use software emulation instead of hardware emulation. Both these are great solutions. This is also not that. This is the original chip design hardware, just modernized in a new process. So they're just basically remaking what is inside a NeoGeo, doing it in a modern way, so they could probably fit a ton of these on a wafer or something like that, and then they can also get it like very low power consumption because things have improved so much over time. So this is a really neat thing they're doing. It should be very authentic. It's just that console being basically reprinted. $250. I'm kind of ready to show up for this thing, Eka, but I'm a sucker for this sort of hardware. What do you think about all this?
I mean, I remember. Did you remember the original Neo Geo?
I mean, I remember reading about it in magazines and being like frightened of the price. It's like one of those ones I would never even have asked my parents to get me ever because it was so expensive.
I think I saw it at a KB Toys or whatever it was called back then, and I was just amazed, I guess, at how expensive that thing is. I mean, $600 as a kid in the '90s. That's a I think that's a lot more now, right?
Look it up. Yeah. It's like with inflation, that'd be about $1,500 today. So we're actually not that far away from the console prices being that much, but still, it was wild back then.
Yeah, and then $200 per game, right, at the time. Yeah,
because they were basically the arcade games put onto cartridges, and that was wild as well. And that's the other side of this. They're putting out several of these games onto new repro carts as well, reproductions. Metal Slug, The King of Fighters 2002, Garou, Mark of the Wolves, Big Tournament Golf, Shock Troopers, Samurai Showdown 5 Special, Paul Star, Twinkle Star Sprites, Magician Lord, and Over the Top. You can, I guess, get all this in a bundle as well, and they'll just give you everything. And I think the arcade stick, they'll bundle all that all up for you and put it out for what is it, $1,000, something like that. Wow. Pretty wild.
I mean, I'll show up for Samurai Showdown. I spent so much time on that in the arcades. It's such a great game. I just know myself, if I buy a piece of hardware like this, I'll probably play it for a little bit and then I'll forget about it. And I'm like, do I want to do that for $300, $250?
Yeah. Do I want to do it every single time one of these comes out? Which I might. Yeah, but I do. I have that same thought process of like, how often am I really going to use this thing? And I got the Superstation, which is basically the Mister from a Taki Udon, the YouTuber, and he kind of spruces it up to be basically a PlayStation 1, and they're working on software to make it behave more like a console. But it's a Mister, so I already have Neo Geo on there, and I have all the Neo Geo games I want on a device that I just recently got. And yet this is pretty novel, pretty cool. And you're right, like something like Samurai Showdown, having that with the original home hardware would be pretty cool. That game is pretty special. I remember the first time seeing that in the arcade after years of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and finally getting to look at this game and being like, what is the camera doing? And realizing it's like panning in and out and like scanning left and right in a way that just made the sprites look so dynamic. It stuck with me this entire time, walking past that arcade cabinet in the arcade way back in the 90s and just being like, what is that? So yeah, special games. Cool that they are kind of getting this amount of love while it's coming from PlayOn, which is an Embracer company. Have they done anything like this before? I can't remember if I've seen PlayOn do anything like this before.
No. Have you messed with the ROG?
Well, which one?
The
Xbox
whatever this
one?
Yeah, Xbox One. Yeah, Xbox One.
I think Dan has one and Jerf has one. I have not touched it, but I've used the previous ones before they had the Xbox branding on it.
Yeah, I mean, I love our Steam Deck. I travel with it, and I always bring it to shows, and it's just so handy. But then having something like the Xbox ROG, where I can always put Steam games and Windows stuff, I was like, and the screen looks really damn good, and the sizes, it feels comfortable, and I'm not sure I need anything else because I do PC game a lot too. But this is cool. What's the form factor on this? Do you know? Does it say?
I mean, so they are just basically taking the old Neo Geo home console and making it again. Like it's it's a complete reproduction of that. So it looks like that, and it's the cartridges stick out into the big wicks. The cartridges were huge. It might be shrunk down, but it's like basically they're going for that original design, I think. Very, very cool stuff. But I'm with you where when I sit down to play a game, I'm picking up my Steam Deck. That's how I'm playing games these days.
Is this for nostalgia folks that have money now that grew up with this or want?
I mean, it's anything that can extract. I mean, I think the strategy across the industry right now is who is playing these kinds of games and also has money, like who's in that Venn diagram, and it's older millennials, right? That's who they're going after with this stuff, and it works. Like this is the kind of thing where, $250 for a piece of hardware right now is a price that is not impulse buy, but it's not that far off from the impulse buy territory that was once like $50. So
right.
Yeah, things have changed and they're finding ways to capitalize on that. And if as long as we keep getting really cool, and as long as this delivers, right? As long as this is actually going to be quality and people aren't going to be pulling their hair out because it's falling apart or something like that. If they keep delivering stuff like this, I'm all game for them mining more of these 90s piece of hardware nostalgia. That would be
fantastic. I mean, that's great because if they find an audience, they feel like there is an audience because they're building it. That's great for the audience. Like, you get something niche and something that they want or want to try, and I'm all for it.
Me too. Absolutely. All right, this next story, Pokemon and Zelda ripoff, Pickmos, removed from Steam as publisher intervenes. This is from Ollie Reynolds at Nintendo Life. Pickmos, which until recently was called Pickmon, has been unceremoniously removed from Steam following an intervention from its publisher, Network Go. Developed by Pocket Game, Pickmos is a blatant ripoff title, copying character designs from the likes of Pal World, which itself already was copying from Pokemon. This is also copying from Pokemon and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Creature design is in particular looks remarkably similar to the iconic Pokemon, while the protagonist in this game is the spinning image of Link in Breath of the Wild. So it seems Network Go has had quite enough of the controversy which has been brewing around the game because of all this stuff, confirming that it has removed the game from Steam in a message on Twitter. Hello, players. This is the publisher Network Go. We've heard your feedback regarding the removal of our Steam store page and want to clear things up. Network Go has officially intervened in the development of Pocket Game. We will be supervising the Pickmos team from a player's perspective to ensure the game keeps getting better. Thank you for your support. Network Go doesn't outright state that the reasoning behind the removal is due to the controversy, instead claiming that it's helping to ensure the game keeps getting better. It seems clear to us, however, that the publisher wants to get ahead of any potential lawsuits from the likes of Nintendo. Nintendo did file a suit against Pal World's development team, so there's plenty of precedent for that for sure. But yeah, this one seemed like quite a mess because, Eka, you could tell me, like the video game industry, people making games, the whole idea is you play a game, you come in the next day, you're like, man, that idea is so good. How can we carry it forward? How can we do something cool with that in our game? And that's something we obviously want. I think the industry has just been better because people riff on other people's ideas. And then there's stuff like this where it's like, I think they're just copying the other game. How do you feel about this? Like, where did you like? Should the publisher be feeling like they're under assault here a little bit from a controversy like this, or should they have just like stood up and put the game out anyhow?
While you're mentioning this, I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, okay, it looks just like Link, and it looks just like Pokemon.
It's wild.
I think we're inspired by games all the time, and so are a lot of developers. Like for us, like Dosa Divas is, like Bravely Default and Octopath and Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door. I think that's like, okay, sort of the feeling of playing something like that in our sort of our version of it. But I think there's inspiration and there's like, okay, this looks exactly like this particular character or this particular design, which I don't think it's the same thing. And I know why people are doing this. It's like, we're getting a Nintendo type game on Steam, which you can't get which I think was the other Pokemon game you mentioned.
The Pal World, yeah.
Pal World was just that kind of.
Exactly.
And I've seen some other games. Yeah, it blew up. So, and then they settled, didn't they? They settled out of court or something.
Yes, I believe that's how that went. That sounds right to me. Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm not as a game designer developer. I don't like ripping stuff off directly like this. Like, I don't see the point. If we're spending all this time making a game, it still takes, even if you're copying something, it still takes a lot of time to put it together. If I'm going to spend my time making a game, I want to make something that feels fresh, hopefully. So,
yep, exactly. And it's, this is not Steam stepping in necessarily. This is not even Nintendo stepping up. This is just a community-driven sort of being like, what are you guys doing over there? And then the publisher feeling the heat, which is, maybe the way that's just criticism, right? That's people
Yeah.
criticizing it and then them feeling kind of ashamed that that's what they're doing and pulling back on it a little bit, which is probably the way it should work. Interesting to see what will happen next with that, or if that game comes back in any state that looks like it did in those trailers where, yeah, people are like, that's just Link on a Charizard. Yeah, that looks exactly the same. That's pretty wild.
I mean, it is interesting copying two different games that are really hard to make by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, also as a developer, I'm like, okay, are you gonna like people are expecting two different genres mashed together, and that's also making it very difficult for yourself. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's a lot of these games though are just like, here's every genre in a game, which is always like, yeah I mean, in Pal World it worked a little bit, so we'll see. Yeah, Kane Highwind in chat like points out like apropos of nothing. Remember when Sega straight up copied Spider-Man, Batman, and Terminator for Shinobi? Yeah, I do, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, they don't do that anymore.
I love the old Shinobi games.
Oh yeah, for sure. That new Shinobi was really great as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let's get to this next story before we take our break. Forza Horizon 6 is set to have a better launch than any of its predecessors. This is from Jonas Mackey at Game Reactor. As you know, 2005's Forza Motorsport marked the beginning of the Forza series, and it was popular right from the start, though not yet a massive franchise. However, when it expanded with the spin-off Forza Horizon in 2012, things really took off. Today, it's Horizon that defines Forza as a brand, and Forza Horizon 5 reached over 50 million players last autumn. Despite this incredible success, the analytics firm Alenia Analytics now expects Forza Horizon 6 to get off to an even better start. This time, the journey takes us to Japan, where a cross-section of the country has been recreated with plenty of iconic landmarks, massive cities, villages, and temples to drive around. This is clearly appealing. As they write, our estimates show that Forza Horizon 6 has already raced past 500,000 copies on Steam over a month before launch. So pre-orders are coming in, and we did see something similar with Forza Horizon 1, where apparently in that early access period where you could play it a week early and get the bonus stuff if you're willing to pay $100, or if you have the Game Pass, if you're willing to pay like $40 on top of like what you're already paying for Game Pass. It sold like 1 million copies in that time frame. I was like, hey, at a certain point, they got to give things up a little bit, and they're going to get diminishing returns. That doesn't seem to be happening here, and it's probably a big part of that is people have been waiting for this game to go to Japan and seeing that setting. So I don't know, any excitement from you about Forza Horizon? It's a series I like quite a bit, but I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this one.
Oh, I do too. I thought I loved 5, and I think
Me too.
Horizon, I think maybe I started playing on 4, and then 5 is where I really spent a lot of time. My older son, two boys, and he loves it too. We talk about it. It's just the setup is like you remember the Burnout series, Paradise City, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah, but Burnout
Paradise. Sorry.
I mean, that's
Paradise
the
City
song that they were singing the whole time. Yeah.
But like that setup is just like driving around and getting in and out of things. I just the scope of it and the presentation of it is great. I think the last one was in Mexico, wasn't it?
Yes, the last one was in Mexico, and it looked fantastic.
It looks fantastic, and then the way just all the different things you can do running around. It definitely. I'm excited for it. The thing I'm curious about is I don't know anything about Microsoft and publishing and the internal team. Is this like if Alenia Analytics is saying they expect it to do well, if it doesn't hit numbers, is that like I'm curious at a team this size or when it's a first party title, what is success for them? Because I think it's a much higher number than what we probably think. Like, is 500,000 copies good? Are they expecting 2 million copies? Like,
I mean, 500,000. Yeah. I think this is 500,000 already sold on Steam. I think that's what he's saying, which is that's crazy before the game's even out. Because then once it's out, it's going to skyrocket. But you're right, like. They have diminished the importance of Forza Motorsport, and Turn 10 has sort of been like kind of wound down a little bit, and that means there's more pressure on Horizon for sure, because that's now the main star over there. It is really the standout star for the recent strategy of let's put games out on PlayStation. Apparently, it's sold like 5 million copies on PlayStation or something crazy like that. So. Yeah, this has got to continue that success and then grow. To your point, so will it do that? I think this one stands every chance of doing everything that Microsoft and everyone involved wants it to do. The question will be like, what's the future of Forza after that? But
Yeah.
they'll have some time to figure that out if this game is succeeding that much.
And this is developed by Playground. They're in Vancouver, I think.
This is Playground. Yes, Playground, and they have this, and then they should have Fable coming as well this year. So
Wow.
we've got a couple of games back to back, and yeah, that's going to be impressive to see. That is the kind of thing where, man, that studio has a lot riding on those two this year, and I'm looking forward to see how them both get received. All right, we're going to take a break. Plenty of headlines to get into after this. We're going to go check out a trailer for Dosa Divas right now, everybody. If you want to skip out on this, giantbomb.com/join to become a premium member to get our ad-free versions of our shows. In the meantime, though, we will be right back.
What are you going to make?
I'll give you one guess.
Hello, hello, hello. Look around. Nobody wants to cook anymore. They want convenience. I won.
Hey, cooking mamas! I have that part. Check it out.
I'm going to punch you in the face.
Watch out!
Oh no. The ones who gave us life are gone.
Do you not care? Do you even have a job right now?
Hey!
Bring her out.
Did you miss me, goddess?
We're back. Game S Mornings. That's Eka. I'm Grubb. Let's get back into the headlines with Phasmophobia limited time event. Phasmophobia by Alan Wake announced. This is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Kinetic Games has announced Phasmophobia limited time event, Phasmophobia by Alan Wake, which will bring the world of Alan Wake 2 into the cooperative psychological horror game. It will launch on May 12th. The crossover event introduces a new presence that bleeds into familiar locations, shifts in the shadows, and twists investigations in ways ghost hunters have never encountered before. There are many fans of, this is a quote now, there are many fans of Phasmophobia at Remedy, so it was a thrilling opportunity to bring these two horror worlds together in this dream, or rather, nightmare collaboration, says Remedy Entertainment Creative Director Sam Lake in a press release. It was a joy to write this. Our two twisted worlds amplify each other perfectly. And then Kinetic Games CEO Daniel Knight added a lot of the same sort of platitudes, saying this is fun to do. It's out May 12th, as I said. Eka, I would ask you, man, these partnerships between developers of all kinds of scales, or you just see it all the time. How do these sort of things like happen? Is this something that you're looking at ever? Like, to be like, hey, can we get our characters into your game? Vice versa? Is it like trading points or whatever? How does it all work?
And we talked about, how do you market a game or
Yeah.
get an audience to look at your game. I think this is the great matchup of like two different, similar genre games. They're very different games, right? Like,
Right.
Phasmophobia is a massive, massive game, right? Like, I don't know how big the team is, but it blew up and it's been going for a long time. So I think it's great to see something like Alan Wake mixed in there. So I think it's beneficial for both parties here. Like, Remedy gets to, didn't they make a multiplayer control or some?
Yeah, they made a Fire Break or something.
Yeah.
Can't remember exactly the name. That's winding down. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and like for us, we're working with the Outer Sloth or the Among Us folks, right? Like they funded our project, which is like,
right.
Okay, they're. I love that because it's so hard to try to get publishing or funding right now, and then like these guys, Phasmophobia folks, and a bunch of other teams are also like collaborating with other teams and are helping people out with things, and we're talking to folks all the time, and like we also have a couple bundles we did on launch for CS in Stars in Time, and with Annapurna, our last publisher. So we're like finding ways to work with developers. I think it's great. It's another avenue and a way to introduce a fan base to something that they might like and didn't know about.
Yeah, it seems to me like that publishing landscape, the way to navigate it right now is to kind of partner up with people who are just into games as much as you are. Like, obviously, it's all a business, and obviously, everyone wants to be making, like, takes the money we have now, put it into something else so we make more money. Obviously, that's what everyone wants. But it seems like to get like a decent publishing deal, you have to work with people who have been in your situation before and understand it and have empathy for what you're going to be going through trying to make a game. Is that, I mean, I know that it's Outer Sloth, right? That is a team that does get that, but is there a lot of that stuff out there for other developers and for people to try to navigate this kind of tough publishing space at the moment?
Yeah, I think, the market's tough, but there are games that are blowing up. Like you're playing Slay the Spire, right? For 2X, for example, that just blew up.
It's huge.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and those guys are also, supporting some of the Outer Sloth teams as well. And so I love seeing that. I love seeing these developers that are doing well and want to and know what it felt like when it was harder on various projects. Most projects don't do great. So being able to support somebody else that's in a position that a project they believe in, I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
I want to see more of that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like, the video gaming is kind of a small community, whether you talk about the people like covering the games on our side or making games. It seems like everyone knows each other. And I think at the end of the day, when people have success, they want to spread that out a little bit and do their best to make sure everyone can kind of get a piece of it. So hopefully we do get a lot more of it and get on the other side of some of these weird corporations tainting the space. All right, up next, Sony's MIA live service game is going in the exact direction you'd expect, I guess. This is from Eddie McCook at GameSpot. New details have come to light regarding Sony's upcoming multiplayer live service game, Fair Games, including information about one of its game modes and its reported business model. When Fair Games was announced in 2023, Sony called it a competitive heist experience. And now Insider Gaming has reported details on one of its game modes, Cargo Heist. This will reportedly play out in 3 phases, including Break-In, which has players looking for a vault code and collecting cash to upgrade their skill set. In the next phase, Drill, players will get inside the vault and fight to collect the cargo. The third phase is Extract, which has players carrying the cargo to an extraction site. Fair Games could have other modes, but only Cargo Heist was detailed in the report. Some are saying this description gives off Marathon vibes, which itself is an extraction-based game. Also in the report, it's mentioned that Fair Games will be free to play, and it will use microtransactions to make money, of course. It was also reported that the game's next playtest is coming up this weekend, but it's not open to the public. A number of key developers at Fair Games Studio Haven have left the company since the game was announced, including Haven founder Jade Raymond and the game's director, Daniel Drapeau. It was reported in May 2025 that Fair Games was delayed to 2026 after a playtest proved unfavorable. Yeah, I mean, man, so another one that has at least extraction elements. The whole idea with this live service space, Eka, seems to me to be like, hey, if we do hit, it's going to hit big. And so we just need to find the right combination of ingredients to get people hooked right away and keep them coming back and make it a hangout space for their friends. And once we do that, then this is a thing that can just make money for years and years and years. It's easier said than done, though, right? Like being able to put together those ingredients. If you were in this situation, it's like, really, what other buzzword other than extraction is there to go to right now to get like publishers excited? Is this kind of the circumstance of the studio's got to put something together that is going to make Sony excited, so they kind of have to be able to say, hey, look at what these other games are doing. Maybe we can do that, and that's what led to this description of the game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Haven, are they owned by Sony? I can't remember if
Yes,
so like.
are.
I mean, I think there was like a initiative, right, in early 2020s of like,
Yes.
was it Tarkov that was blowing up?
Tarkov and The Hunt. Yeah.
The Hunt, right?
Showdown or
So,
whatever, yeah.
and I see this all the time and over the years, like whether it's MMOs or the Forever games. I think this is just sort of like an evolution of Forever games. Like extraction is what people want. But then if it takes 5-6 years to make one of these things, the audience might have already moved on to the next thing. And there's so many Forever games that you're willing to play, right? Like wherever your friends are. And I think that's like the same kind of the MMO problem too, is like, there's going to be one or two that's going to do well, and everything else people are going to try and bounce off. And so you've already spent millions and millions and getting to market where they may not be an audience, or there's already, like, I don't know how Marathon's doing. It's not a game I play, but
it's got great word of mouth, but it's maybe not selling the way that a Bungie needs a game to sell. Is kind of my understanding.
Yeah, and on the opposite end, I think this is why friend slot games are doing well, because there is no commitment. You just go in, get in really quick, hang out with your friends, and you're out. There is no big meta or to need to be able to buy a season pass kind of thing, or I think that's also interesting from scale of us, our projects. We're like 14 folks on a bigger project, or something like we're prototyping with like 3 people. Like, we're not going to make an extraction shooter. Like, it's not a thing that we're into, but also like the if you're trying to compete against Marathon, there's expectations from the player, right? Like the quality of it, the amount of content and the amount of updates. That's a live service team, which is, if you're doing excuse me, something like a Marathon or Destiny, that's multiple teams that having to work around the clock to like release new weapons, so the other team's working on the next thing, and I don't know, that's a lot.
Big commitment.
Yeah, big commitment. I almost wish some of these big teams would try to get to like almost a prototype quicker and then see if there's a thing for it. But I think it's two things. There's like old way of development, but that's gone from 3 years to 5 to 7 now, and the market's changing all the time, and so we're seeing a lot of these projects get canceled, or they show up and no one plays. I have no idea. You make the decisions as like a Sony or some big publisher, and the market changes under you.
Yeah, the ground shifts from underneath your feet. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even with like perfect insight into what people want, right? Because chat pointed out this could also just very much be a Payday like, which was also very, very successful. It was Payday 2, right, chat? That was like really popped off. And then that team followed it up with Payday 3, and the community didn't migrate to that. It has been sort of a mess since then. I think Payday 2 still has more players. And again, I could be getting some of those details wrong, but that's generally what happened there. And it's like, that's the people the team that would have the most insights into what works and what doesn't from a genre like that. And for even them, it's a struggle to like understand how to get a community to move on to the next thing, or get them to shift their interest, or to appeal to them in a different way. And so, it's a challenge, and it really does feel like a lottery ticket a lot of the times. And you're right, like what would be the solution? More frequent prototyping, something along those lines, but that's not the business that Sony's in, so they're going to keep doing stuff like this. I'm surprised we're still hearing about Fair Games. Sony did do a culling recently. They canceled some other stuff, but this one might still sneak through. They must believe in it to some extent, and I get it, because Payday is one of those ones very popular, but it does not feel like that genre has had its Fortnite moment where it just got opened up to everybody, and like everyone and their little brother was playing. And so Sony looks at that like, maybe we could do that for this genre, but Fair Games, I don't know. We haven't seen it, so we're going to have to see for ourselves at some point when that reappears, whether or not it has the juice to pull that off.
Is this a modern, is this Heat? Is Payday is essentially the movie Heat, as a fantasy, right? Like go in and extract.
Fair Games was definitely like the more Fortnite take on that. I'm trying to remember exactly, but I'm going to take a look at a screenshot real quick. That's my like immediate response. I think they were trying to like play it up and make it more stylized and stuff like that. It has a lot of those like colorful smoke cloud grenades, where it's like, here's the pink grenades being set off, and now there's a cloud of pink smoke. And like they're doing that for a stylized effect, but also that's a gameplay service as well.
Yeah, I stopped playing shooters a long time ago. I don't know. I just feel like it's such a mind space unless you're doing something different with it. Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It's just not a space for me. I'd rather play something else, but.
Yeah, it's a red ocean for sure, where it's like, there's just not a lot of, you got to really come with something. That's the real trouble for a company like Sony, right? It's like you talked about the 7-year development cycle that we found ourselves moving into. And there's just a couple of things you can do at the beginning of a 7-year development cycle to make sure your game is going to be set apart and be able to stand out in the marketplace all those years later. And it's to make the most expensive thing possible, to make something that just looks stunning That's the one guarantee you have, and that has caused costs to just keep going up and up and up, and it becomes unsustainable.
Yeah.
All right. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced reportedly drops Anchor this July. This is from Levi Winslow at GameSpot. It seems the rumors may be real after all. The Assassin's Creed 4 remake will reportedly launch on July 9th. Talked about this a bunch. Just feels like, is this thing actually ever going to happen? It was supposed to happen earlier this year, and then it didn't. Now we just have a new date for that. Do you think a lot of games, I mean, obviously Ubisoft has their own problems. Are a lot of dates still moving around because of Grand Theft Auto 6? I know you were talking about picking a date, and I'm sure it's like more than just any one game, obviously. But yeah, nailing down a release date for a game like this or any game, what does go into that?
I mean, I don't know what it's like at a game this size.
Right.
I haven't worked in AAA in like since Shiny Entertainment days. Enter the Matrix, Path of Neo, PS2 era, right? Like
real video games, yeah.
I mean, I'm really curious for what goes into this kind of thing. It's probably quarterly earnings, when they need to have to ship it, where the money is coming from, where they think the stock price aren't they hurting right now with
yeah, so Ubisoft's hurting in a lot of ways. Yeah, they got that spin-off part of their company that's still Ubisoft, but Tencent's involved, but it's just making a handful of the big pillar games, and then there's a lot of questions remaining about all these other franchises. They just most recently they delayed all of their games, including this one, but everything that was supposed to come out this year, announced and unannounced, got delayed, and then 6 other projects got canceled. And it's like, yeah, so that is one of the questions. It's like, oh, it didn't seem like they were going to have anything this year. This is them sort of restarting things and being like, okay, we've taken our breather. We've once again made our appeal to investors not to abandon ship. We're going to start putting games out again, and this will be the first one of those. And then the question will be like, will they have anything to follow that up with this year? But yeah, this is the one that will probably do all right because people really do like Assassin's Creed 4. And it's been, 12 to 13 years since that game came out. So
Damn.
I guess, go ahead. I know. That's right.
So I guess remaster
Xbox One launch, yeah.
Remaster would be, I think it makes sense if they spent all this time, building those assets. Like refactoring into a new story is a lot easier than rebuilding the whole world. I'm assuming they're up-resing and whatever else they're doing to make it feel more modern, but
yeah, definitely.
I enjoyed that the sort of pace of that game.
Yeah, me too. And it's this is one of those ones where it's probably pretty cost effective for sure. They have other ways that it feels like Ubisoft is starting to like come out of this most recent stupor is the talks of reuniting the team that made Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll believe all this when I see it. They do have to kind of get their head out of their ass a little bit over there because it has just been such a mess. And all the headlines have been, here's how we're laying people off and here's how we're reorganizing. It's okay, yeah, well, when are you going to, like, the people that you still have employed, the thousands and thousands of people who could be making cool stuff, when are you going to unleash them and start putting cool stuff out again? This is the very beginning of that. I don't think Ubisoft leadership, which has not changed, is going to lead to much differences into the actual results for that company. So they'll probably be right back here in a year or two once again.
A controversial take
on. Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead. What was that?
Public companies and making games, I think, are just in direct conflict with each other. Like, it's just...
yes.
It's not I don't know. It's not like a widget you can just crank out every quarter. Like, every game has problems. Teams are different, and market changes. It's like, I don't know. I think it's a lot of these games and teams suffer in the long run, right? Because publishers or the public companies making decisions for the short-term quarter needs, and that's why you see these games that were doing well, or a lot of these games were new games and new IPs that they tried out, and it took a while for that to blow up. And if you're not doing that, things are going to get stale. The audience doesn't want the same thing every year, as you see with all these big franchises that are, other than the sports titles. There's no choice. There's no alternatives for a Madden or a 2K, right? Like, the players are going to play it. They'll show up. They're not going to be happy about it, but some of these other games, there's a lot of options, especially these days. Like, yeah.
And then once people like sort of exit out of that, it's really hard to get them back, get them excited again for sure. But yeah, I mean, this making video games was a space that was maybe not primarily, but did happen often in garages and with small developers all around the world. And corporations just slowly position themselves in between all of the cool art being made and the people spending the money. And they're like, we're going to get our action on this. And they just have brought nothing. It feels like they've brought nothing to the party and have just been a drag. And now I think they are starting to wake up to that reality, what you said, of how they are in direct opposition to getting games made. And they're starting to be like, wait, what are we doing here? Because maybe we can't, maybe there's a ceiling for what we can make from this. And they're in the process of like decoupling, and it's leaving an absolute trash fire in its wake in this industry. And it's like, oh, we're going to have to sort of repair ourselves because these companies aren't going to figure it out. Of course they're not.
No.
All right, last couple of stories here. Slay the Spire 2 is getting review bombed all over again after its latest update. This is from Lewis Parker at Kotaku. For the second time in the last 30 days, Slay the Spire 2 is getting review bombed on Steam. As of this writing, 3,609 negative reviews have been levied against the game in the past 12 hours. And once again, the overwhelming majority of the negative reviews are from accounts based in China. So you guys might be wondering, hey, what's going on here? What did they offend the Chinese people? You know, there's some cultural stuff. Did you put skeletons in the game? Turns out Chinese people don't care about that all that much. That's a government thing. So what happened is the game just changed a little bit. It had some changes to its balance. But the interesting thing, I'm just learning about this, and Eka, maybe you know more. Maybe this is new to you as well. I don't know. But apparently, because of the crackdown on social media in China and people who make games not being on the social media platforms that they do use in China, the one way that they feel that they have to make their voices heard is through Steam reviews. So they go onto Steam and post their stuff on there to get noticed as, hey, I'm frustrated, please hear me. And it does get a response, so that has spread and people keep doing it. Is this something you've heard other developers talking about? How do you deal with this? Because obviously it's like this is just how they feel. And you can't control user reviews. So, yeah. How do you feel about all this, Eka?
I think the Slay the Spire team on the first one and on this, they do weekly updates. That is wild to me. Like, if you're going to release it every 7 days, that means you're building it for 3, 4, 5 days, and then you're testing it and you're releasing it. It's like, that is a hard cadence. Very difficult. And then, of course, and then the reviews as a way to communicate, I get that, but it's also just very disheartening as a developer.
What can you do about that? Yeah,
it's an early access. Like they're not charging you more money for these updates, and it's like, that's rough. And then do you only? I don't think Slay the Spire 1 would have been made if players had a say during development, because I'm a player. I don't know what I want. Like, I know what I played, and you think I know what
frustrates me, and that's it. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I would give them a little bit of credit. The developers, they made one of the best games ever made. Slay the Spire, and 2 seems like it just is amazing, and it's got co-op too, right? And so this is rough, but I also understand from the Chinese player's perspective, there's no other way for them to give feedback. I hope they what comes out of this is find some way to give feedback in a different way that isn't review bombing, because those negative reviews are just it really hurt.
It's damaging
for developers. Yeah,
absolutely. So right, and it's like, oh, now it's going to be up to the studio over there, Megacrit, right? To be like, hey, we'll give you an avenue to yell at us directly. Please don't do it on Steam reviews. But it's again hard to change people's behaviors. And this is what's happening. It's going to be probably an uphill battle to get around this. Now, there's some stuff built into Steam to mitigate the effects of stuff like this, right? Where they do kind of surface reviews in your language first, primarily. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but they definitely have considered issues like this. The solutions don't seem perfect for sure, but they are at least aware of that of the way that people use reviews in all kinds of ways that isn't necessarily in line with the spirit of tell people what you think about this game so you can give them buying guidance or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm filtered in English looking at the site, and it's the reviews are done in English too.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
Sorry, there was I know Steam's, they'll update their policies and change some of this stuff. I know some games are review bound for quote unquote woke content, right? Like has
Right.
nothing to do with the game. It is just like it
culture
doesn't
war,
align
yeah.
with my beliefs, and then I'm gonna fucking review bomb it. And so I think there are some safeguards against this, but in this case,
Yeah.
if it's like gameplay related, I don't know. The Steam knows the difference, right? Unless Megacrit talks to somebody there. But a lot of this stuff is so automated now because there's too many games, right, and too many reviews and too many players. So it has to be some sort of automated ways to handling some of this stuff.
Absolutely. All right, the last story here. David Leitch is 100% confident that the Netflix Gears of War movie will be made. This is from Ben Lyons at Game Reactor. This year is set to be a very big and exciting one for Gears of War fans, as the Coalition will be delivering a new chapter in the series, a prequel that actually explores the events before the first title. It's known as Gears of War E-Day, and we'll get to meet it in greater depth rather soon as part of the dedicated direct showcase following the Xbox Games Showcase in the summer. But this is just part of the Gears of War plans that are ultimately in place. As for a long while, Netflix and Xbox have been collaborating in an effort to adapt Gears of War into a feature-length flick. Little has come of this so far, other than the Fall Guy and Bullet Train's David Leitch being attached as director. Speaking about Leitch, in a recent interview with Collider, the director spoke a little bit about Gears of War, said, "I think this is going to happen. We have a great draft in progress that's in really great shape. The studio's more determined than ever to make it. Netflix is 100% behind it. The Coalition is fired up as well. They have their game releasing this year as well, so it's all lining up that the movie will be happening." Yeah, maybe we'll see. I mean, I think we're at a point where video game movie adaptations have been doing better and better and better. So obviously, the people who are motivated by success will see that and make it more likely that this movie will come out. I wanted to ask you, Ek, a slightly different question. There was a time a few years back where it was probably more than that, where like the streaming wars were happening in earnest, and it seemed like every game was getting talked to about a potential show on like Prime Video for children. Is that something that you ever graced up against? Anything you've ever had any involvement with or conversations about?
Oh yeah, I mean we've had those conversations come up on. I mean we did that with Thirsty. We had
Right.
prepared a treatment. Having done 3 IP based games based on films or movies in the past, I think it's gotten a lot better where the folks that are making these decisions grew up with the games and understand why, instead of trying to match a movie, like gameplay is different, right? You have the player, so make an interesting story in that franchise or that world the players would appreciate. Or in the case of Gears, make a story in that world that feels like it's a homage to the game itself. I haven't played a recent Gear, so I don't even know like what it's like. I played the first 2 and I loved them. I'm just curious about like what is the draw and who would play Phoenix or Marcus?
Right. Yeah, and Batista probably he played his character in the recent game. Maybe that he would like to make that happen, but I don't know. Good question. Get Alan Richardson or whatever from Reacher. Get a big boy.
I love Reacher.
Yeah.
I love him kicking his neighbor's ass.
Me too. That was great. Yeah. Man. I mean, I get it. Motorcycles are loud, but that was a dumbass thing to do to that guy from Reacher.
I'll say to answer your question a little bit more. I always assume none of this stuff is gonna ever fan out. Like even for something as massive as like Uncharted, right? It took years and years for that to get into the theaters. The economics of games can be tough, but I think film is way worse. So I like, it'll be interesting. I don't ever assume like I'll have the meetings and we'll talk about it or do a treatment, but I just assume that's not really our primary focus. And if it happens, great. If it doesn't, most of the times it's not going to happen. So
it's so on a whim, right? Because it's like those companies, they are chasing trends just like gaming companies, and they might have the wind in their sails so much that they have started these conversations. What does that ever turn into? I mean, like I said, there were tons of these conversations years back with all kinds of developers of every scale. Indie developers were getting talked. I mean, Double Fine had a Costume Quest show on Prime Video. Like that happened, and it's like that.
Oh, wow.
Right. I don't think it had a ton of episodes, but it's like that's the kind of thing that manifests from those conversations, and then we don't get a ton of other ones actually coming to fruition.
I like the last Mortal Kombat movie, dude. I'm looking forward to the new one.
I watched half of it and I just really didn't like the OC. I think this new one looks awesome though, so I'm pretty excited about it.
I saw the Street Fighter.
What do you think?
I like this, dude. I like it. I was ready to hate it, but I'm like, this is fun.
Yes.
I'm in it. I'm all in it.
I thought it was just really fun. It's the exact right way to put it, and very over the top with the references, kind of nonstop in the trailer. But I expect that now, that especially after Mario has proven that that's just going to make a lot of money. So, do that, but then make it really stupid and fun as well. And I think they're doing all of it. So I'm very excited.
Speaking of Mario, we saw it last weekend. It was a lot of Seattle indies rented out of theater. So it was Mega Crit folks. It was the Peak folks, Agra Crab, us, and some other local indies. And brought both my boys came with me, and we all just. It was a great way to see Mario with a bunch of devs.
That's really.
And we're
fun.
all screaming at the screen and like looking at all the references and that.
Uh-huh.
It's probably not as great of a movie, but I loved it. It was fun.
That sounds like a great time. Again, like I think it's a good time at the movies. I don't like the movie itself, whatever, but it's a good time at the theater. All right, that does it for the headlines, everybody. We got plenty more to do though on this show. We're going to get to the poll question from yesterday right now. Let's do that first. I have the results over here somewhere. I'm going to refresh, though, to make sure that I am caught up to date. Here it is. Are you excited for the Street Fighter movie? Yes or no? I am, and so are 41% of respondents. 59% say no. They have, look, that early trailer was doing a lot. So I don't blame people for being like, what is this? I hope they're able to win people over, though. Just be so over the top that the movie can do very well. All right. Well, no new poll question because it's Friday. So we're going to wrap up the week and this episode with the Bomb 12. We'll do that here in a moment. Before we get to it, though, Eka, one more time, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, tell them about the game. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we released Dosa Divas this week. It's on Steam and Switch 2, Xbox, PlayStation 5. It's a turn-based combat RPG, all themed around cooking. It's got like active combat, so if you like Expedition is a thing that people have played, I'm assuming, so, or Mario RPG. We're very much Mario RPG inspired, and that's out on everything. It's on sale right now, and we're on Blue Sky mostly, so Econaut or Outerloop Games out there, and on YouTube and TikTok and on Insta. So
fantastic, awesome, thank you so much. Let's see here. We have, like I said, no new poll question, but we do have plenty of other stuff happening on Giant Bomb. Today, we have UPF. If you go and watch us today, we are going to be playing Scam Line. This is a weird social deduction game where you can only talk to the other people in the room with you if you call them on the phone. And you have to share information, and that's about all I know. But we're going to try it out and see how it goes. So that'll be happening. That'll be fun. There's all kinds of other stuff happening on the site. We did put up a new Portal Pals this week, so watch Mike and Mary try to figure out Portal 2 together. That's a really good time. And then a new episode of 9 Lives of Mr. Mistopheles should pop off next week. So get subscribed. Check that stuff out. It's good. All right. I think with all that out of the way, what we should do is the Bomb 12, everybody. These are the 12 games that really matter to people who are really playing games. We got your responses. We collated them. We tallied them up. And here are the 12 games, starting with number 12, Replaced, kind of peeking its way onto the chart. Number 11 is People of Note. Number 10, Dosa Divas. There you go. Number 9 is Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. I'll say those last 4 games, I think all came out in the last weekish or so.
Yeah.
Everything in the first week kind of like bubbles up a little bit. The next week is when we'll see the real results for all of these, everybody. Number 8 is Starfield. Number 7 is Pokemon Champions. Number 6 is Pragmata. I don't know how Mike wants me to say it. I'm going to say Pragmata until I actually play the game. Number 5 is Hades 2. Number 4 is Slay the Spire. In fact, 4 through 1, you're going to hear is very familiar to last week, everybody. So number 4 was Slay the Spire 2. Number 3, Pokemon Pocopia. Number 2 is Crimson Desert. And once again, number 1 is Marathon. People like that game. Been a lot of people continuing to play that, Crimson Desert and Pocopia, and now Slay the Spire 2 for the last several weeks. I bet Pragmata is going to be able to break into the top 4 next week. We'll see what happens, though.
It's coming out next week, right?
It comes out today. It's out today.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So people just started playing it, and I kind of closed down voting last night. So there's just a couple of people who trickled in there, and they rushed to number 6. All right. Let's see. That does it for the Bomb 12 this week. We'll have a new Bomb 12 next Friday. If you want to submit your game for consideration to be tallied with the rest of the votes, go to giantbomb.com. If you scroll down, you'll find the Bomb 12 from last week. And then over on the left, there's a Vote Here tab. Click on that. It'll take you to the form where you could submit your game. All right. With all that out of the way, I think what we do now is say, Eka, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on here. It's been really fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll make it happen again. Would love to. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.